What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal, your stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider review and news right here on our YouTube page. Welcome, my fellow Patreons, for everybody that's getting early access to our comic book reviews from Boom Studios, ladies and gentlemen. We just went ahead and launched our Patreon last week, if I'm not mistaken, and this is our first early access comic book review for you guys, so I certainly hope you definitely enjoy that. Of course, if anything, these videos will probably be made public by the end of the weekend as we go live with our A-Plus Morphinominal every Saturday at noon Central Time, ladies and gentlemen, so certainly join us then. But for those of you who truly do love these Boom Studios comic books, I definitely hope you enjoy the idea of at least being able to get early access to these reviews, certainly before anybody else. But today's issue, guys, that we're going to be getting into is going to be Mighty Morphin issue number 2 by Ryan Parrott and Boom Studios, as we continue along with our new fresh take, if you will, of this Power Ranger franchise when it comes to the comic books, because we do have Mighty Morphin along with Power Rangers. And just really based off of jumping into this particular issue, I wasn't quite sure how the storylines were going to go, if they were still going to connect to one another or if they were going to be their own individually sort of told stories. Well, going into issue number 2, you definitely see there are some ramifications that are being dealt with from what happened in the previous issue of Power Rangers number 1. So if you were thinking about maybe just picking up one of these two books, it seems as though you probably need to get both of them in order to kind of see how it all certainly plays out. So if you haven't gotten Mighty Morphins 1 and Power Rangers number 1, please go ahead and do so at your local comic book store if you can certainly find one certainly near you. But guys, today we're getting into issue number 2 of Mighty Morphin from Ryan Parrott along with Marco Rina, who continues to impress me with his artwork, to be quite honest with you. If I had to make if I don't want to say a complaint or anything, I do love what he's doing with his civilian mode stuff. I mean, some of his artwork kind of reminds me a little bit too much like Daniel DiNicuolo, and while I certainly don't have a problem with that art style at all, you know, Daniel's easily one of my favorite Power Ranger artists that we certainly have. Marco Rina certainly feels as though if there was any inspiration that he might have gotten from Daniel DiNicuolo, I have no idea, but I almost feel like their art styles are kind of similar in that sense. You know, not super detailed, but really great sort of fresh lines and everything, very dynamic when it comes to the action, and Marco Rino continues to do that fantastically well in this issue, especially when it comes to the great battle that we wind up getting towards the end of this issue, finding out here that Lord Zedd, a little bit fed up with Finster's useless putties, if you will, decides to go ahead and add a little flair to these putties, using some of his own newly gifted abilities, as Lord Zedd is harnessing the green chaos energy, if I'm not mistaken. I think his battle that he wind up having with the Green Ranger in issue number 1 definitely left some remnants of that green chaos power with Lord Zedd. So we do see some upgraded putties, if you will, towards the end of this issue that truly do give our Power Rangers a handful, and it seems as though they're about to get into even more trouble going into issue number 3 here, as even our mysterious Green Ranger winds up helping them out, but also getting his ass kicked as well. So for somebody who made a really great sort of debut in issue number 1 with the new Green Ranger, talk about just leaving me wanting more, as by the end of this issue he's literally laid out on the ground unconscious. So didn't really get to do too much work, but it was great to see the Green Ranger when he was in there, but you can clearly see that Lord Zedd's abilities have now given him a little bit more of an edge over the Power Rangers, where they're even having to struggle just trying to face off against these updated putties. But I thought the action and the art style by Marco Rino in here was absolutely breathtaking, to be quite honest with you. A couple other quick honorable side mentions here. The Bulk and Skull storyline is rather interesting to me. I feel like over the past couple of months, I mean, we have seen Skull and Bulk hanging out with Skull's girlfriend. We know that Skull's been in love for quite some time now. They've all been hanging around the juice bar and going on any adventures that they certainly can together. But one of the things that we learned about in issue number 1 was the fact that Skull's girlfriend was an Eltarian, also very much like that of of Zordon. And so clearly there's something either out to get her or she's running from something. But we clearly come to find out that the mystery behind Candace, which is the name of Skull's girlfriend, it now has Skull asking himself a bunch of questions, right? Wondering why her personality's changed, why she's not around as much, right? To the point to where we even see Skull thinking that, oh, maybe she's cheating on me type of thing, right? I love the idea of seeing Skull like trying to work out and trying to learn how to fight and things like that in this issue, almost like he's trying to become a better man for his girl, you know, got to protect his woman in case somebody is trying to take her from him, type of mentality. But I really don't know where they're going with this storyline with Candace as part of the Eltar, as part of being an Eltarian, to say the least. But I can tell you right now that Ryan Parrott definitely does have a storyline in place for those of Eltar. I mean, when we begin this issue, I mean, we even get the opportunity to do another flashback, which we did in Mighty Morphin issue #1 of a younger Zordon from tens of thousands of years ago and things like that. So to kind of see the Eltarian race, some of them kind of coming into their own. I believe one of the gentlemen in here winds up getting crowned like Emperor or Superior. What do they wind up titling him as? Supreme Guardian, if you will. And getting to see him kind of speak amongst the other council members of Eltar, I thought was pretty fascinating. For me, that's just great world building. There is an element to it that kind of almost reminds me of like the Guardians of OA from Green Lantern, if you will. The real big, you know, the little short Guardians with the big old blue heads, if you will. That's kind of what this scene reminds me of seeing this this lonely Eltarian, if you will, surrounded by all these other Guardians for advice and wisdom and things like that, right? So Ryan Parrott clearly has a storyline involved with the Eltarians, because I do think it's certainly going to connect to Zordon and just everything that he's certainly dealing with, because we even still see in issue #2 how heated Zordon is at the actions of the Omega Rangers from Power Rangers issue #1. So the fact that that is still carrying over and we're starting to see a different side of Zordon, and now this sort of flashbacks to Eltarian stories, if you will, there definitely is something playing when it comes to, or I should say evolving when it comes to Zordon's storyline. So I'm eager to find out how the flashback works, Zordon's motives, along with Candace, Skull's girlfriend, how all this is certainly going to combine, because I definitely feel that there is something certainly there. But last but not least, speaking of Zordon here, we do have a great scene where he's kind of confronting some of the team members, and Kimberly as well as Billy, talking about the idea that he hates sort of being lied to, feels like the Omega Rangers kind of betrayed them. We even see Zordon like putting out like a wanted poster, or like putting out a ransom, if you will, trying to get every known world in the galaxy to be on the hunt for the Omega Rangers to try and bring them in, or at least notify them if they are in fact seen, so that Lord Zedd, so that Zordon can go ahead and try and get Lord Draken back from the Omega Rangers team. But I honestly have never seen Zordon this heated and this upset. So the fact that now the Omega Rangers are pretty much like most wanted, the most wanted in the galaxy, right? That FBI's #1 like on their list type of thing. That's what it feels like when it comes to the Omega Rangers in here. And Billy just keeps going along with it, man. Even though we know that Billy knows secrets and continues to lie to Zordon about the Green Ranger, he continues to just completely play along with the whole idea of everything that's certainly going on. I also love the sequence that we get here between our Rangers, as they're really all talking amongst themselves. Like, I don't want to say dissension amongst the ranks, but you can definitely see that there certainly are different points of view, if you will, of their fellow friends in Zach, Jason, and Trini, right? Trying to figure out why it is that they certainly did the things that they did. But for me, what's fascinating is that not all the Rangers are on the same page, right? Like, you've got people like Kimberly and Billy who maybe might be able to understand, but then you've got people like Tommy and Aisha who kind of throw doubt and maybe some shade towards the Omega Rangers sort of thing. So there is going to be a battle awaiting for us between these two teams, and I honestly cannot wait to see how heated it's going to get. But going back to Billy a little bit, I do find it fascinating that when when the team is talking amongst themselves in the gym, he says, you know, sometimes people are put in a tough position where they can't tell the truth, or they can't tell everyone the truth. It doesn't mean they're awful people, right? And I love the fact that he tries to he tries to kind of come to the defense of his friends, but there's also a part of me in here that thinks that this is also Billy trying to cover his ass, right? Because the idea of him saying, you know, sometimes people are put in a tough position where they can't tell everyone the truth. Is that your position, Billy? Right? Like, are you in a tough position with Grace Sterling, that you know everything that's going on with the new Green Ranger, that you just can't come to grips with telling the truth to Zordon, right? You're just in that sort of tough position where you can't reveal the truth to him. So granted, I don't think Billy's an awful person, right? But I do think that Billy sees what's happening with the Omega Rangers, seeing how betrayed and lied to Zordon feels, and is kind of looking at himself in that same light too, and now looking at your teammates who also have negative things to say about the other team members. It's like, well, damn, if they feel that way about the Omega Rangers, how are they going to feel about me and my secret that I've certainly kept? So I have my eye on Billy to see how he's going to get himself out of this, or what this revelation is going to be like for the remainder of the team, to be quite honest with you. But overall, I thought this was a solid issue. You know, I think for me, I think the biggest takeaways was definitely the Eltarian stuff that we wind up getting in here, whether that be with the flashback, Zordon or Candace. And I continue to love the Billy stuff in regards to some of the secrets that he's hiding. And Ryan Parrott continues to just be an outstanding storyteller in regards to not only focusing on our characters, but giving us some really great and fun and witty sort of dialogue, and finding our Rangers really in even more trouble than I think they were certainly expecting as well. So again, not the strongest issue, but I do like the idea that we are starting to see that these are in fact connective tissues to one another when it comes to the overall story arc that we have right now with Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, and I thought that was a nice little connection here that they wind up making in this issue. But ladies and gentlemen, again, these are just my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, though, I definitely want to go ahead and know yours, so please let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this has in fact aired. And of course, we'll definitely talk about this later on this weekend on A+ Morphinominal. If anything, probably just give you like the gloss over kind of version of the review, so that you guys can certainly come back here and hear all my thoughts in regards to Mighty Morphin issue number 2. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that will certainly do it for us here today. So thank you very much for certainly spending your weekend here with us. And of course, we'll definitely see you this Saturday live at noon Central Time. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.